Hi, my name is Sydney Cooper and welcome to my digital observation video. I am going to be showing you the slides that I created and I will be talking over them while I present them to you. So with this, we're going to start at the beginning. I observed at Cedarwood Elementary School. The school is very nice and decorated. There are a lot of signs, school spirit signs and encouraging signs around the campus, which created a very great positive environment on the campus. The school is tucked back behind some houses and some apartments. It's kind of like in a little corner on Herndon, kind of by the Clovis Community Hospital. The school has been there for a very long time, and they have kept up with it very nicely by keeping it clean and keeping the school just looking very nice. So with that, walking onto the campus, it also looked very nice. Walking inside the classrooms was very nice as well. They're very kept up, nice classrooms. Walking in the classroom that I went into, it was very decorated. There was lots of things to help the kids learn and have good behavior. The teacher had all the kids' artwork up, which is also very welcoming and cute to see what they've done. They also had things with good behavior, kind of to encourage the kids, and if they're spacing out and looking at the signs, they can read those signs and it'll kind of embed it in them to have good behavior. The teacher does not mess around. She is very sweet, but she was stern when she needed to be. She would talk very briefly, and when the kids were talking, she would briefly say the kid's name and say a certain name and then just keep moving on. She would also say no thank you to kids that were doing things that they were not supposed to. The content in these grade levels are a lot higher than what I remember when I was in elementary school. The math and the reading were a lot more intense than what I remember doing. There were things such as word junctions that I was familiar with, but I remember doing that at a lot older of an age. This kind of reminds me of how we talked about classroom adaptation. Teachers say to learn in the middle for the kids who struggle a little, and the kids who get the information really quick to kind of teach in the middle, so that can come to a conclusion. But you can also give challenging problems to kids and also a little easier so the kids that struggle can see how the content works. So here, I just brought up some standards for what kindergartners are supposed to learn. And with this, they show all the different skills and the things that they're supposed to be doing while they're in kindergarten. This is very interesting to me because I want to be a kindergarten teacher, and I think that is also very interesting that they put this on here just to kind of see the Common Core state standards. Okay. The teacher I observed did a very good job at giving a kid one-on-one time if they needed. There are always going to be kids that struggle with certain things, and it's always about the way that you adapt. So here I put the different learning styles and obviously how kids different learn. So it is your willingness and to adapt to these kids, which is going to make them learn so much more and so much better. They're going to understand what you're talking about so much better if you adapt to how they learn and how it affects them in the different styles. So these, it kind of goes through and it says, what is your style? You can kind of read these and then you kind of suit that to your learning style, and then that is the best way you learn, which I think that is interesting, and we should really address that with kids. In the school place, there always is going to be students that have different struggles, whether it be in the classroom or at home. I've worked in other schools before as well, and it is always important that the teacher takes care of the kids and action to take if the kids do need additional help from home. The book always talked about not treating the kids any different from one another. If a student struggles at home, I read on this with a website, and they said to value their struggle, approach it appropriately, keep the environment safe, and talk to them calmly. A lot of these kids are dealing with social anxiety and things like that, and so it is important to understand how to address the kids that do struggle and do have stuff that is important outside of just the classroom, and you may not know exactly what's going on, but if you kind of get a hint, it is important to understand how to address that. So with this, during the COVID-19 struggles, obviously kids have been from home, learning from home. I think it is a big deal how their parents address that as well. And I just know the struggles that I've had and the struggles that my family has had, but I also can see it with schools, with the schools that I work at, and also the school that I observed. So the challenges during the COVID-19, obviously teaching has switched to online, and I'm knowing it's my knowledge that these students are being sent home packets, and kids are given homework to do, and they are to complete the assigned homework for certain days. So they kind of give them a schedule of certain things that they are supposed to do for that day for their homework, and then they turn that in online or back to the school or anything like that. So I thought it was interesting because I actually got to see one of the schedules, and it said a certain amount of time that you should do for this, a certain amount of time that you should be spending on this. And I also thought it was very interesting because it did talk about PE, and it gave the kids like 20 to 30 minutes, go play outside and have fun, just like it would be for a regular school day. So I also thought that was very important, and that was very interesting. Along with the COVID-19, both my parents work for the Clovis Unified School District, and they were both obviously forced to work from home. My dad is a biology teacher at Buchanan, and my mom is a secretary for the district. So obviously they were forced to work from home, and I think it is a big struggle for both of them just because they do like to go out and they do like to do their job. And I know it is a struggle for my dad because I know he loves to be with the kids and loves to be in the classroom and teaching in that way. So this is a really big struggle for him, and it is very different. So I think through this experience is very hard for him. They've also asked teachers to be a little bit more lenient on the grading, so that's also hard for, it's just a hard struggle with the kids turning in their work and also being able to grade that work, especially since they're not required to have electronic devices to turn in their work. So that's been a struggle for him as a teacher. Because some students just don't do their work at all, which is kind of difficult. Students don't do, for me, this experience has been interesting. I've definitely gotten to take my time in being more organized since I'm not running around all the time. I think this experience has been a learning point for us and the teachers and us that want to be teachers, and I really think it makes us appreciate what we have and the people around us. So I think going back, teachers will think about that more, and they will also incorporate that.